It is the start time, and I see one of our esteemed guests in the back of the room, but two of them are still not here. So, that kind of gives this gentleman, Carlos, a big advantage. Let's welcome him to the stage. I do not know which name placard is yours. This one. Here's a tip for FanX. You should put the names on both sides.
How's everybody doing? I mean, I'm seriously, how are you guys doing? Now we're talking. So I have a question, can we curse at this panel? Because if we can't, that's fucking bullshit, right? Okay, just curious. Gotta set a precedent, you guys. Because letting stuff slip is not, what I want to do. I just want to do it right at the beginning. So, tell me about what we're doing. It's animated video games. That's not working. Isn't it? Okay, I'll moderate the panel. So, I know from being at FanX before, and I love this show, what a tremendous presence anime is to the con. But for me, because I'm a selfish asshole, video game people, who plays video games? Do you know I've asked people at my booth, I'm like, you play video games? And they go, no. And they say it like I asked them if they had herpes. And I'm like, no. Why would you ask me that? It's so personal, But Xbox, PlayStation, yes? Nintendo Switch, yes? I knew that was going to happen, that's why I do that. Right on, okay, cool.
Well, so let's take this opportunity to tell us, we know who you are, but there's some people maybe that came for the other panels, so fill us in, introduce yourself.
Some of you don't know who I am, how dare you. It was a great room, thanks for showing up, you guys. My name is Ferrell. I'm known for playing, I'd say primarily these days, from playing Dom in Gears of War. To my Gears people, I say, sup, bitches! I know that some people are like, why is he cursing us so much? But that's what they hired me for, so there you go. Assassin's Creed fans. So I'm the voice of Leonardo da Vinci in that franchise. And some people, I love that murmur, you guys. Do that often, even if it's fake. Oh shit, really? The voice of Dom that's, take cover, Marcus! That guy is also the guy that's, how exciting, it's you, I never got Codex pages. I've taught a man how to fly. So, yeah, same guy. There you go. Thanks for the applause, one guy. No, please. But, I've been very lucky that video games has worked out, and I'm a gamer. So it came natural for me. Like, I watched the consoles go from, the first Xbox and PlayStation 2 to the 360 and everything since, PlayStation 3, 4, 5, etc. And it's been really cool for me because what started out as another acting job, working in, there she is. Way more importantly, Cristina B. Give it up!
Welcome. You sit wherever you're comfortable, but
I want you to sit.
Oh, our third panelist is here as well. Welcome.
All right.
What panel is this?
I was talking about me.
Gotcha.
It's animated video games. Which is
first off.
According to the title, you're going to help us all break into the business, which doesn't make sense because then we're your competition, but we will definitely love to hear what it is.
So, good night, guys. But I would love to hear Cristina introduce herself like I just did. Please.
Hi, is that my voice? Is that my voice? I'm Cristina B. I'm a voice actor for video games and anime and cartoons. I voice Ladybug and write Ladybug.
Yes.
I voice Kilua and Hunter x Hunter. I voice Bennett and Singcho in Genshin Impact. And I voice Young Donald Duck in DuckTales.
Yes.
Hey, oh God.
Do I really sound like that?
Yeah, it's shocking, horrifying. I guess it's...
Yeah, you're welcome to demask up here.
I'm
double bags. Jesus, that's loud.
Christina, I'm gonna take that personally. You're like, I'm keeping mine on.
Well, here's the thing. I don't wear like makeup anymore, so I'm like, this is perfect. Like, just keep a mask on.
That's why
Fine off.
I put my bag on.
Wait.
Okay, now I'll take it off.
Okay.
Alright, there we go.
Well, this way we know you're not imposters also, right? I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah, we didn't send doubles.
Even though Twitter doesn't think I'm me, but whatever. I'm Maile, Flanagan. Most of you probably know me from Naruto. I've done a whole bunch of crap in 30 years. Some good, some not so good. What else am I on? I'm on 4 new shows that I can't talk about at all.
Isn't that the best? Like, what's your next thing? You're like, stuff
Stuff.
you can't talk about?
Can you tell us what they rhyme with, maybe?
Nope.
No.
Actually, they give us code names.
I can. Mine rhymes with something on Grizzly Prus.
Oh. Mine's with Maple and Jetflix. Anyway, I did some movies, a lot of TV, lab rats, some of you guys I see you. And then I did a lot of nothing for a couple years, right?
How was that?
That sucked. I have to pay for my house, people. But no, I think we're both good busy. I mean, like, the pandemic is weird because I'm kind of busier than I was before the pandemic.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, not on camera, but, you know, voiceover wise.
Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, I always feel a little guilty talking about it for some reason, because
Yeah, because a lot of people.
I love the respect for non-disclosure agreements that you have. It's like, we're all like, but we want to tell you that there's cool shit on the horizon.
but like the pandemic, it's been good and it's been awful.
Yes,
It's been good? What? I can't let that
I
one.
said good and
Pandemic
awful.
has been good.
And awful.
I know what you mean because you feel a little guilty because
It's been a lot,
a
yeah.
lot of people are suffering and a lot of people are out of work. And, but for some reason, voiceover is the busiest it's ever been for me in 20-something.
Yeah, we're talking about the business of it on some level, anime and video games. Those of us that we've always auditioned from home, we have our home studios. Now, they're the studio.
Yeah.
It became our audition, place to our workplace now. And that's new. It's new that it's pretty much become 100%. If you still are doing that, we can do that too instead of going to a studio. And that's new. That's very, very new.
I mean, that actually brings up a business question for me. So if I understand you right, like when you audition, it's primarily from home, even before the pandemic. Like you just...
Yeah. I mean, for the last, 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
We used to go to our agents who have booths there or that sort of thing, or to actual studios that want you to audition on premises. That was very rare. It was usually agents, and then they were encouraging us that, and they were right, the future was having stuff at home that is, to broadcast quality.
So did that allow you a freedom, like, people who want to be in a certain industry move to California, but like you can maybe voice act from Utah?
You can.
Kinda.
It's to your advantage to live in a bigger market, for sure. Because sometimes people want to meet you and,
Yeah.
in person.
I feel like a lot of people, some people moved away from California and are still working regularly, but I don't know, like I don't know how this is gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that works consistently that's far away.
Oh, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who directed our show, was a great actor. And Steve Bloom, they just moved to Hawaii 3 days ago.
I feel like you might need to make your connections first by living in a big market, LA, get established for years, and then once you have those connections, I think people will realize like, oh, I can go to Las Vegas or anywhere I want and get more space, and they're still working. But they live there.
It's hard to start out that way.
I'm the West Hollywood, California holdout. I'm like, I want to stay in LA, guys. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I like LA.
Me too, I like LA.
Procedurally, audience members, there is a microphone here in the center of the room, and we are happy to have you ask questions. So if you have a burning question,
I gotta say, that's my favorite part of panels. Like sometimes I'll go to panels that I'm really excited about, and the droning on that I expected there to be some sort of a show. I mean, you guys go to a lot of panels, I'm sure, and you know how you walk in, and then as you walk in, you hear, and then in 1980, was it 80?
Look at that.
It was 87, I think. You're like, just tell a story. You know, I look forward to the Q&A, so this is really good move, moderator.
Well, I mean, I have 1,000 questions, but I don't think we'll need any of them. It is remarkable that between the three of you how much you've done. Like, you're just prolific, which is really remarkable, and you have a fan base, clearly. So, I mean, I think we should get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's
do it.
All right. Hello. I have a question for Cristina.
Sure.
Damn it! Story of my life.
Anybody like video games anymore?
All right.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure you're very well aware of just how out of order everything is with Ladybug and all that sort of stuff, with Miraculous, with like release schedules and all that. Is the recording schedule just as out of order and hectic, or?
So, I mean, I can't speak to it too much, but I would say, I mean, I know it's hard because spoilers get released, but there's a station that's releasing the episodes as they're delivered and not in the order that they're supposed to be in. That's not going to be the case when it comes to Disney Plus. It's going to be in order. My advice is to try to wait before watching those episodes out of order, because there are spoilers, and I think that it just might be more enjoyable to wait for like the English version to be available in like the proper order and all that once.
All right. Thank you.
Great question.
Hi. So there are some companies out there that are designed to help someone get started in voice acting work. So like includes coaching and helping you find your market and recording equipment and all things like that. So my question is are these companies legitimate and a good way to get started, or is this a
No.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. There are some that are legitimate. If you take a class from somebody and you can't see that they're working, then you shouldn't take a class with them.
Yeah.
The two people I recommend are Steve Bloom, you can do it from anywhere in the country, BLUM, Bloombox Studios, Bloom's View, and then Richard Horvitz also teaches.
Charlie Adler.
Charlie Adler teaches, not as much as the other guys right now because he's a big director, but yeah. So I would just, you just have to look and see if people are still working or working. And that's the key, because if you draw up a name, if you asked us some names and we don't know the name, then don't take a class from them.
But also, don't take a class with an actor because you're a fan of them, because they might not be a good teacher.
That almost felt personal. I teach, I'm like, what are you saying?
Thank you.
I'm an awful teacher.
So,
I can't do it.
I'm going to jump in, so hold your questions. I think one thing we just have to cover here in this panel today, if I'm in this audience, or in my head, I think, wow, maybe I have a good voice. Maybe people tell me that all the time, but I don't. Where do I start? What's the first thing I can do if I'm really interested in this? Where do I learn more? What do I do? What's the beginning steps for somebody who might be here today?
I say, you have to be an actor, not just a person with a good voice.
That's exactly what I was going to say, be an actor first.
Yeah, and so take improv, which is great. So many places have different improv companies. Take acting classes. That's the first place to start.
Yeah, it's the $1 million question, actually, is how do I do what you do? And usually people don't like the answer because it's not a hobby, it's not a side hustle. We're all actors, and we've been doing this a while. And it's part of staying employed and paying our insurance and how we take care of ourselves. So we want to, be competitive, but also show up and have all the skill set and all the things that other people can't do that we do well, and that comes with experience, training. It's a lot of work, and if you're willing to do
Casting couches.
don't stop talking about me. Want to take another question?
No, I mean, that's fantastic. I think it sounds like work. Like,
Yeah,
work. Wow.
Can you believe it?
All right.
Believe it! See what I did there?
That was pretty good.
He doesn't watch the show, I know that.
Oh, sure I don't watch the
So, my question is mainly on how do you get acting, what's a way to start getting acting credits? So there's the P2P sites, you can always work with an agent, there's lots of ways to find voiceover work.
You're so frustrated, look at your...
I am.
Like, oh man.
You have a good voice. Thank you. I've worked with coaches. I have a home studio. I have a setup. I spend my free time. I go to work 40 hours a week, and then I go home and do this. But if you don't have credits behind your name, nobody wants to work with you.
One thing that's right about this day and age is there are a lot of people that need a lot of content, and there are a lot of artists. So find an artist that wants to do a short animated thing, for instance, and then do the voice for the character, and then put it on YouTube. And so every time you reach out to people, social media, you can send that link to that clip, or clips. So, I mean, I know it's really hard to do. I mean, trust me, I ate top ramen for years and years. I had horrible jobs. But it takes a while, and you just have to keep at it.
And you have to be passionate about it to begin with. That kind of frustration is something you got to get really intimately close with, is rejection and frustration and it not going exactly how you might fantasize and dream is. But everybody's journey is different, especially in being creative. And one thing I like about it, to add on what you're saying about it, right now it's kind of the Wild West when it comes to being creative with YouTubers, Twitch streamers. It's never been, we're in a really unusual and wonderful time, I think, in history when it comes to show business, in that we're kind of writing and figuring out the rules right now as we move forward, post-pandemic and everything else. So we were saying it wasn't always the way it is now. Well, you can be part of the next wave that created credits for themselves, that if you truly want to do this for a job, that's all you can do. You have no choice. The frustration is something you just got to live with. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll get Rassim didn't answer my question, Rassim. Yeah, somebody up to the mic.
Short of me running down there, can somebody, thank you.
There we go.
My question is for, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Miley.
Miley.
Like Miley Cyrus.
Right.
Minus the redneck.
That's what I was thinking.
Is for Miley. Do you still talk to people from the Labyrinth cast, like anyone in it?
Yes and no. I saw Kelly a while ago. We had kind of a little mini party who played Bree. And Spencer, who played Adam, is in Texas right now, I think. He was off doing movies for like 2 years. I haven't seen him on. And Billy, who played Chase, he's a musician now, pursuing that more than acting. So I ran into him in Hollywood like 2 years ago, maybe. And then Leo, Julie, I actually talk to their parents more than I talk to them, which is so lame. But, we're kind of in touch, and sometimes it's through social media or something like that. But they're very busy, and I'm very proud of them because they're all working, and they're not screw-ups. And, the myth of the child actor growing up and becoming a screw-up did not happen with our casts, and I'm proud of that because they're all great people. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Highness.
This is a question for all three of you. I was wondering what's your favorite thing you have ever done in your career voice acting?
Favorite thing ever.
I painted my house.
I think my favorite thing so far was recording the Ladybug Christmas special because we got to sing, and I've always wanted to sing.
That's my nightmare. Every time I get a script and it's like, and at the end of the audition,
Singing sample.
yeah, sing 8 measures. I'm like, really? You want me to sing with this?
Of a pop song.
Yeah, I usually do the Jonas Brothers.
Which one?
I'm a gun for you. Oh, but but I play the Jonas Brother that only does this in every song. Yep. You know that Jonas Brother? That's all he does in every single song. Nick Jonas sings and he just goes, yeah. Listen to it. I'm a sucker for you.
Yeah.
I didn't answer your question, did I?
It's like when my mom ran the tube. Yeah.
That's right.
And Ariana Grande goes, yeah.
She does do that.
Yeah.
Oh, do you do an impersonation?
Ariana Grande?
Nice.
Hi, it's me. I'm Ariana Grande. I'm so glad that you're here at my panel today. Yeah!
Oh my god. My favorite thing was Labyrinth and Naruto, and I did a show called Jaker's The Adventures of Piggly Winks. That was fun. I also did an episode of Weeds where I was in a sauna in a towel.
I saw that.
That wasn't that fun.
I saw that. So I got myself on this panel. To answer your question, my favorite thing in a waltz, always head and shoulders, is playing Dominic Santiago for the last 13 years. I've gotten to really develop the character. He's my guy, my favorite.
Hi, so I just have a question for all three of you. I'm a beginner voice actor and animator, and I was wondering if, like, voice acting in your own work would be good enough to get credits.
Yes.
Yes.
All the Cartoon Network guys, mostly men, put themselves in their own shows.
Yeah, Victor Valentino.
Yeah.
Victor and Rick and Morty. Yeah.
Uncle Grandpa, whatever that guy's name is, the creator, he's in it. That happens all the time. And sometimes it's not great. Sometimes they're not great actors, but they're great creators. And so I would, if you're an animator, put yourself in the project. Plus you might get insurance if you make enough money.
A long time ago, there was a film festival called Spike and Mike's Twisted Animation Festival.
Does that still exist? Because I used to see
No, but you can still get the collections on DVD and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And Mike Judge, he started out creating Beavis and Butthead because he couldn't get that job. So he created these characters and he deliberately made the voices difficult to do so only he could ever play them. Pretty slick trick, right? And I'm telling you, when you mentioned all those creators, they all on some level were doing, I've been involved in things where I'm deliberately doing a difficult voice so that it stays mine. And it's, again, having your own stuff, the fact that you do all of that already, it's great, man. It's not like a casual, like I said, it's not a hobby. So pursue it and make your own stuff, because some of the people that go on to do huge, big things.
Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the prime example.
Yeah, perfect example. So keep going, man.
Good luck here.
So I have two questions for the panel.
No.
It almost felt like a threat. You're like, okay, guys, you owe me money.
All right, I'm sorry. First question I actually have is, a lot of people have a weird problem. Like, some of us have like an internal voice. Like, it's weird hearing our own recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that kind of hard for you guys, like hearing your own voice and then hearing the recording back?
It just happened when we sat down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All the time. I mean, actors are sensitive and, also, competitive and narcissistic and all those wonderful traits. And we were so hypercritical of ourselves. And yeah, at least for me, absolutely. I hear everything I do and I'm like, oh my God, was that me? Like, I think I sound really cool and evil and I just, to me, sound whiny and sad.
Yeah. Second question is, what is the hardest voice you have ever done in your line of work? What do you think is the hardest voice you've ever done?
I did an episode of Uncle Grandpa where I played a boy and kind of a bully, like usual. And I did the boy, and then the boy's tongue was cut out, and then more lines with no tongue, and then the tongue became a lizard in my mouth. Yeah. Wow. It was insanity. Have I watched it? No. Probably sucked.
I've taken a couple of creature voice jobs, And there was one recently where we were just doing take after, like we were spending like 30, 40 minutes on one like creature sound. And it was really hard, and I never experienced like that blood throat feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I need to work for the rest of my life. Yeah, that was probably the hardest job I've had.
SAG-AFTRA, the union, they ended up, when they renegotiated their interactive agreement, they had to incorporate exactly what Christina's talking about, is that we throw out our voices when we do video games in particular, and you have to schedule, because you're not going to be able to work for a couple of days because you're doing what's called exertions or efforts, which is pages and pages, like hours of getting shot, getting stabbed, dying, falling off a cliff, and all those things are you throwing out your voice, and that's always like grueling. You think it's cool that you're in Call of Duty, Black Ops, shout out, and then after the session you're like, that was really fun. So yeah, it's tough sometimes.
A single tear.
Hey, all of the people in line, there is a camera trying to also get the camera, so if you guys could just scoot that way a little bit, that would help.
Sit on the first person's lap.
That would help the bigger, that would help the bigger audience, which we want to do.
Okay, is there an actor that I'm sorry, is there an actor you either are influenced before you started acting, or you enjoy working with most? And this goes to all three of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was fortunate to work on 2 shows. HBO had a animation wing for 2 seconds, and the 2 shows that they put out were spectacular. And I was really fortunate enough to work on Spicy City, that was Ralph Bakshi's series, and Ralph Bakshi's legendary animator and stuff. And the other was Spawn, the animated series. And they were figuring out how to do adult-themed sort of shows, and so they got stellar, like movie star, great actors that I admired, and they would put us together in the same room. And I had mentioned Charlie Adler earlier, and I watched him work as an actor, not as a director, and he raised the bar, man. Like I admired a lot of people, but he immediately became not just cow and chicken. He was talking to Ralph and just goes, "Is this guy from Brooklyn?" And the guy goes, "I don't know, what would that sound like?" And he was like, "The guy from the neighborhood right in here." And then he goes, "Or maybe Bronx." And he's like, "Because from the Bronx, he's more like Ralph Cramden." And I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, he's just casually, like effortlessly creating characters on the fly. And everything, what I was doing, I like showed up prepared, trying to be a super actor, and he is already a super actor. And it was really humbling and yet very inspiring. So Charlie Adler for me.
How is Ralph Bakshi? That's sort of a nerd moment for me.
He's what you would expect him to be. He's this big mountain of a man, but he's very sweet. He's a big fan of all things geek, like we are. So he wanted it to be cool, and he wanted it to be fun and sexy. And but he pulled together like rock stars and movie stars. And I was there like, "Hi, what's up, video game guy?" So, and it worked out. But he's a sweet, sweet man.
That was very cool.
I always loved Tara Strong, and I haven't worked with her as an actor. I directed her, and that was really cool. And another big one for me was David Tennant, because I loved him. I named my dog Gallifrey. I love Doctor Who. And because of the pandemic, we didn't record together in DuckTales, but I think it was really cool to watch that episode and for him to be Uncle Scrooge was so cool.
It's the coolest.
It's so cool.
Yeah, we can front, but like being in the same project, and you look at the cast list and you see your heroes and you're in that cast list, even if it's additional voices, you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a great feeling.
It's awesome.
It's so awesome.
I've worked with a lot of people because I'm 90. But when I was in college, which was 1,000 years ago, on Thursday nights, it was like the lineup, right? It was like Seinfeld and Roseanne, or what's the other one? Maybe it was Cheers, Roseanne, and Seinfeld or something on the same night, so we'd always watch that before we went to the bar. And so I loved Laurie Metcalf, and she played the sister on Roseanne. And so that was one, and there's so many people, Julie and Louis Dreyfus. But anyway, Laurie and I ended up, I was on an episode of Desperate Housewives with her, but more importantly, we became friends, and I did a theater show with her on and off for 7 years. And if you had told me at 19 that I was going to be like good friends with her and doing off-Broadway, I would have been like, no way. Also, I didn't study acting, so I didn't think I was going to be an actor. But like that was one, and you know, it goes way back for me, like Carol Burnett, and you know, some of the SNL people. And anytime you meet those kind of people, it's so cool. And the big one that I liked was I did a show called Jakers, and Mel Brooks was in it.
Oh wow!
And like he's a comedy god. If you're young, look him up. He's just brilliant. And so he played a part, but he didn't record with us most of the time. So he did come and record a couple times with me, and I was like, this is amazing, because he's a legend. Look him up. Mel Brooks, Young People, it's great.
And if you don't know Mel Brooks, like...
Sort your life up, Maile, if you don't know about him.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have 2 questions.
No.
Okay.
One for everyone. What's the most embarrassing scene you ever had to voice or record?
Embarrassing.
Oh, I've got one. I was working on Xenosaga, and I had the role of Jinozuki originally, and I'm there, and I was, just doing what I was doing, and I wasn't getting any response at all, and I was making this joke, which I have since, I'm never going to do it again, is I kept saying, I'm so fired, and no one was laughing. They were yes. And exactly, and I just kept doing this, and they're like, okay, let's move on to the other characters. And I had a couple supporting characters, and I kept trying to be like levity, make it funny and cute, but it was embarrassing in retrospect, and at the time it was really embarrassing because I was realizing right there that I wasn't doing the job that they wanted, that it wasn't working out, and you said embarrassing. It was really tough to be there for 4 hours with people that I felt didn't like what I was doing. So those experiences, they stick with you. And my big takeaway is never talk about being fired. Because I got the game when it came out, and somebody else was Jin, and I kept the other 3 parts, the 3 other tiny parts, and I was bummed, but it was, it was embarrassing. Like, that was the question, right? So that was very embarrassing.
I don't know. I had to have diarrhea for 2 hours.
That's pretty embarrassing.
An episode of Naruto. My very first voiceover audition in Los Angeles. They said, hey, Maile, this is Carl, or whatever his name was. And they're like, you're gonna go improvise making Whoopi. And I was like, really? That was a nightmare. It was my very first audition. Oh, and my very first on-camera audition in LA. I had to show up in a bathing suit.
That's always fun.
And be rescued by a German model. Did not get the job. That's all right. I didn't want him all.
I like that this is turning into therapy. We're like,
oh, I'm way past that.
And I never forgot it.
Oh man, like recording-wise?
I would love if you would, not me, everything's been fine.
I mean, there are some scenes where, like, I don't know, man.
I just remember now in Flash, I said it's like therapy, and I'm like, what else was horrible? I remember I was working on that Spawn show, and John DiMaggio, who plays Marcus in Gears of War, and Jake the Dog, and Bender, and he's an old friend. We've been together for, we've been friends for like 25 years. And about 20 years ago, we were working on the show, and we were supposed to be 2 New York cops. And John's from New Jersey, and he is just killing. He's cop number 1, I'm cop number 2. It's one of my earliest voiceover gigs. And Jack Fletcher was the director, and I went to grad school with Jack, under Jack. He was a teacher at my grad school. And so we're hired, I've got the job, we're there recording, and he goes, these guys are from New York. So I'm doing this cop that I think is like perfect, and be very specific of where he's from, what he sounds like. Silence. Okay, Carlos, John, that's great. Carlos, could you make him from New York? And I went, oh, no, yes. What was I thinking? Totally. So I go even worse, and to me sounds ridiculous, like just ridiculous. They go, yeah, Carlos, try to get just a little more New York. We went through that like 4 times, and it ended up being, it turned up, unlike the other job, I wasn't replaced, but that's tough.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, because you have to be professional and be like, oh, no, problem. I get it. Yes, more New York. Not like the first 3 times, and I thought I was ridiculously New York.
Yeah.
So that's pretty embarrassing. I gotta hear Christina's embarrassing story. So
Well-
she's mortified. I can see it in your eyes. You're like,
There have been some pretty, I have stories, but I'm not gonna tell them here.
okay, not today.
But no, there have been times like recording video games where it gets a little lewd, and like the directors, like Tony Oliver and Bob Buchholz, they're like father figures to me. I don't want to be recording this stuff with my dad watching. And so I'm just like,
I just watched half the room perk up. Like, what is this story? What is this game?
oh man. Fine, I'll say the game. It was, gosh, what was it called? Alice, oh gosh, I don't even know the name of my own games. No, the character was named Alice, Mary Skelter. Yeah. There's
Wow, that was awesome. Did you guys see that? One solitary guy goes, oh! That one. That's fantastic. Please go like this.
That's it.
Mission accomplished, Christina.
Second question.
Oh, Jesus.
I can skip it if you want.
No bad. What was the second question?
Second question goes to Cristina.
Can you do that voice?
That question goes to Cristina. What was the most memorable thing you voiced in Hunter x Hunter?
Memorable Hunter x Hunter? I think my favorite scene was when Killua realized that he was being manipulated by you and me, and he like pulls the needle out of his head somehow. That was really fun. Oh, not fun, dramatic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, question askers, we're at the 10-minute mark, so one question, and you know.
We'll talk faster.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
talk faster.
We got
Go ahead. Can somebody?
this. Touch it.
Can somebody help me?
Just tilt that down, just take out, there you go.
There we go.
This question is for Miley. What's your favorite Akatsuki member?
Favorite what?
Akatsuki member.
Akatsuki member?
Mm-hmm.
Well, favorite Akatsuki? Orochimaru.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I scored!
If you could have any bionic power, what would it be?
Any bionic power? Oh, to eat as much food as I wanted?
I think I have that power.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So this question's for Cristina. So what's it like when you were auditioning? Were you like auditioning for like Genshin Impact?
Oh, auditioning for Genshin Impact? I remember the first time I read for Genshin Impact, they said that they wanted it to sound like The Office. I'm not kidding. Like, just play it real grounded. So I didn't book any of those characters. But then I auditioned a couple more times, and then I got Bennett and Singcho were kind of sent out at the same time for auditions, and I recorded auditions for both of them, and I ended up booking both of those, and that was really cool. Thank you.
What's your name again? Sorry.
That's a nice opener. Who are you? And what are you doing here?
So that's your question.
Okay, here's your question. How would you like to be the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog? He's badass hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog.
How would I like to be Sonic?
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
He's very dreary.
You know, Roger Craig Smith is one of my dearest friends in voiceover, and because he's Ezio in Assassin's Creed, and I'm Leonardo da Vinci, I wanted us to do anything together. So, and I also am a fan of Ben Schwartz, who did the film Sonic. So anything. I mean, we're actors. I mean, we want to work, you know, and it's awesome when they're cool things. But honestly, if it was like, you know, how would you like to be in a Roman meal bread ad? I'd be like, I want in. Let me in. I want that game.
You should be the next voice actor of Shadow the Hedgehog. You're really, really good.
Oh, cool. I like that. Whoever I am, right?
Sorry, not good with me.
I just like you.
Okay, Cristina, how would you like to be the next voice actor of Baby Bros Hedgehog someday? Do you like Sonic video games?
I want to be Sally.
Oh, I love Sally Acorn. Yeah, she hasn't been in the video game since 1990, since on Spinball.
Yeah.
But I think you'd be really cool as Sal the Acorn.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
You would be a good casting director.
Yeah. So how do you get into the voice acting career?
That's a multiple question.
You got the one question. You got 8 people behind you and 6 minutes left.
Oh.
Plus that.
But you can come to our booth. Christina's downstairs.
Yeah, we're at our booth.
Come find us. Come find us and we'll ask you questions.
Yeah, I'm a big huge fan of some pitch on video games. I would love it for you to be played Shadow.
I will not forget that moment.
Okay.
Where you forgot who I was.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, just not the actual mic, it's the arm that
The arm. There you go. Boom.
There.
Hello. Question for Molly, as the voice of Naruto. Is it weird for voice actresses? I mean, is it weird for you to play boy characters?
No.
No?
I played 100 boys. And a lot of bully girls and lesbians. Right in my pocket. Got it. Easy peasy. Nice and breezy. Yeah. I used to say I do boys, and then I stopped saying that.
That might be the best answer to a question I've ever heard.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
I did have 2 questions, but
Pick your favorite one.
This is for all of you. What would it take for somebody to get noticed as a character voice actor as opposed to being a VO for commercials?
Most of us do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Staying employed is a big deal to actors. And those distinctions are made by clients and casting people, not really us. We shoot for all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Are you from Ratatouille?
Were you Ratatouille? Or are you? Swedish chef. Do you know how badly I wish you would have been like, what are you talking about? I work here. What's the deal?
One question, but 3 answers for each of you.
Sorry.
What would you say is the #1 tip or advice you give to someone who's looking into voice acting?
Best piece of advice, did you say, through the mask?
Yes.
Study. That's study.
Study.
Study. That was my best advice. I can tell anybody, study. Know what you're doing.
And put yourself out there and never stop.
Yeah, being seen's big. Be seen, be heard. You know.
All right.
No.
I think we got it.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
So I'm very young and my voice is still like developing a little bit. So like,
Show off.
Sorry about that. Anyway, just kidding. So do you like? How do you recommend like developing a voice and keeping it like strong and like?
2 acts a day.
Yeah. You want to play villains?
That was my journey. I don't smoke.
Yeah, singing, doing vocal warm-ups, exercises, will keep your voice strong.
And knowing how to use your voice is key, because everybody that does impressions, like really great impressions, they believe that they can do voiceover. And it's like sustainability is voiceover. Can you do that for a long period of time and sustain the voice? That comes from knowing how to use your vocal cords and having all these things we're talking about. So that's the short
And
answer.
if it hurts, don't do that voice.
Yes, because you can't sustain it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, I know you guys don't got much time left, so I'm gonna ask you this real quick. So, I'm an actor. I went to school, I did plays and musicals and stuff. And I've always really thought about voice acting. And I was just kind of wondering, how did you guys get started?
Oh man, it was another audition. At least I'm from a generation that it was just here's something else to audition for. It's not on camera, and commercials were a lot more prevalent for voiceover. Then these consoles happened, and animation dubs happened, and the culture shifted, and voiceover became really popular. And we couldn't have planned that at all. We were just trying to act. Although I don't think I've ever known a time where Cristina wasn't voice acting.
I went to a convention when I was 16, Anime Expo, because I wanted to be a voice actor, and they had a panel for it. And so at this panel, they were like, we're going to have a mock audition, and whoever wins the mock audition wins a real audition. And that's how I got my first audition. and it was really nerve-wracking and scary, but they let me read for a show called Samurai Champloo. Yeah, so, and they were really sweet. They called me like, you didn't get the role, but we want to let you know, like, we think you're really good, and you need to, of course, work on it and develop your voice and your acting skills, but we want to keep calling you back, and they haven't stopped calling me back.
Yeah, how about that?
I moved to LA, and I had an on-camera agent for commercials. They saw me in a play. I moved the play, played a couple parts in the play, and they signed me for commercials. And in the meeting, you have to meet with all the agents, right? Kind of, so they interview you. And one of them said, you know, do you have a weird voice? You should do voiceover. And then that agent told me to take classes with a couple different people, and then they said, do this class, and this class, and this class, get your demo done by Sue Blue, and I did, and she cast me in my first job, which was Men in Black, the series, and Jackie Chan, the series.
Oh, nice.
She directed both of those, yeah. So, good luck.
Thank you.
Break leg, man.
Thank you guys so much.
Go kill it. Go kill it.
You know what? You know what I did for 3 years? I did something for my career 3 times a day, no matter if I was sick or tired or working a day job, but I did 3 things a day for years. Whether it was sending out a postcard to somebody, you know, saying how does my name, or taking a class, or watching a show, or ushering for a show, or doing a show. Every single day for 3 years I did that.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I know you're kind.
Last question?
We do last question.
Last question.
Last question.
It's really quick too, Cristina.
Yes.
You need to say 2 things in your kilo voice.
2 things.
Say baka and ara.
And what? Baka.
Wow. Holy shit, do that again. Now I know. I have to stop doing this.
Ara ara.
Can I ask you something? I want to hear your best J-Lo.
The best J-Lo? Oh my gosh, what does J-Lo sound like?
You?
She does?
Yeah.
Except in New York.
Yeah, put a little New York in it.
What's her song again? Waiting for
Jenny from the Block.
I'm still Jenny from the Block. Wait, no, I know. Waiting for tonight. Oh, when you will be here in my arms. Waiting for tonight. Whoa!
Oh shit.
I think that's the best we can do. For these guys, that was amazing.
We are out of time, but from each of you, we will tell everybody where they can find you for the rest of this show.
In existential despair.
I can't top that. Twitter, Instagram, real Carlos Ferro, Facebook, Carlos Ferro, I like friends. So go for it.
Don't friend me on Facebook.
Nice.
I'm on all the other, not all the other things. I'm kind of lazy about it. Twitter. You read a lot of garbage that I put out there. Believe it!
All right, can we have a
Thank you guys for coming out.
big round of applause? That was amazing.